Hello, welcome to the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu, and today is October 22nd, 2022. And today we are talking about two very key issues. The first one having to deal with the Supreme Court. At the recent parliamentary confirmation of one of the justices that was appointed by the president, here we are talking about Justice Adibu. He suggested that the workload of the Supreme Court is such that we should actually have at least 21 justices. In fact, the Constitution, the 1992 Constitution in Article 128, Section 1 says that the Supreme Court shall constitute of the Chief Justice and not less than 9 other justices of the Supreme Court. We'll be talking to a law professor from GIMPA, by name Derick Ohemeng-Mensah, and he will be helping us navigate this very issue, whether or not the MPP or the president Nana Akufo-Addo is currently packing the court. Since he's became president, he's nominated a few justices to the court, and we'll be looking at that today. The second issue we'll be talking about is what exactly is going on with the cedi. The Ghanaian cedi seem to be depreciating so fast so that we don't know how we are going to actually stop this. Are we going to see $20 or 20 cedis to $1 by the end of the year? Because it seems like every single day, anytime I want to send money now, I hesitate for one more day just to see where we are. Matter of fact, just by going to Waze today, which I'm trying to do quickly. So let me just go to Waze and tell you what the rate really is. Today, as of today, the cedi on Waze is 13.40, and Waze deviates significantly from what you will get on the black market. So I'm sure if you go to the black market or if you go to the exchanges in Ghana trying to actually change cedis now, you'll probably be spending about almost 14 to 15 Ghana cedis per dollar. So those are the two very key issues we'll be talking about. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll start the conversation. Please, if you haven't done so already, share the link so people who may, enjoy and like this program should also join us or can also join us and participate. Leave your comments and I'll read them out. And please join the discussion. Don't let it be where I'm the only one here talking. Please join me so we can make this a very interactive discussion today. Again, my name is Alfred Amuzu. We'll be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid health insurance program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama, really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT 1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT 1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
All right, welcome back. As I wait for my guest to join, please share the link so that others who may be interested in watching us or who may like the show can also join and enjoy the show. I'm waiting for Derick to join me from Ghana. Of course, he's a law professor from GIMPA. But while we wait on that, recently there's been videos circulating on social media, and I'm sure you've seen them, of the president making comment, I believe in Kumasi or so, where I think he was asked that there was a road which, wasn't constructed, and that if that was not done, that they would vote against him. And the president, of course, being who he is, jumped in quickly and, responded the way we all expected. So I have my guest in the studio, and we'll continue that story because I wanted to actually hear what you think about the way the president reacted. I mean, so many people have made their own contributions, some very furious about what they heard from the president, but I want to hear from you. What do you think about the president's response? All right. With all ado, let me take this opportunity to welcome the man of the moment, Mr. Derick Ohemeng-Mensah. Derick, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. And Derick is the law professor at GIMPA. And I'm sure he's also doing some quack on the side, right?
Oh, my gosh.
All right. You plead the fifth on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So Derick, the issue I want to talk to you about today has to do with the Supreme Court. There's an article that I read. I'm trying to pull it up quickly so we can talk about it. So this article has to do with the confirmation of the Supreme Court judge. The recent ones that have been appointed. I'm talking here about Mr. Adibu. And in that confirmation, he was asked what he thought about the number of judges on, the courts, and whether, the president is packing the court or not. And this is what he has to say. He says that in responding to questions during his vetting by Parliament's appointments committee, he says, considering the workload of the court and its jurisdiction, he will suggest the membership of 21 Supreme Court nominees or 21 Supreme Court justices. And I'm talking about Mr. Justice Samuel Adibu Asiedu. So here, it kind of made me think about, for instance, a country like the United States where I live, where we only have 9 justices. And other countries have various variations. You've been in the United Kingdom. Walk me through how the Ghanaian system is structured. I know the Constitution in Article 128 says we need only a minimum of 9 justices. I think you pointed that out to me as well. Please walk me through, how the Ghanaian judicial system is composed. Is it the case that every case that is appealed to the Supreme Court is accepted? Because in the United States here, the judges actually choose, you have the right of appeal to the appeal court from the trial courts, right? That very first level of appeal is automatic. You have that right. You can exercise it and it would be granted. But you don't get certiorari at the Supreme Court just by applying. You have to the Supreme Court have to look at the issues, the case, and decide that they accepted this one or they're not accepting it. So it's not that many cases or that many applications or petitions to the Supreme Court that get accepted. He's talking about workload that is so much so that we need about 21 justices. Walk me through the composition, how the judicial system works in Ghana, and if in fact it is so necessary for us to have as many Supreme Court justices as we do currently.
Thank you very much. To start with, The judiciary is established by Article 125 of the 1992 Fourth Republican Constitution.
Okay.
And Article 125 begins by saying that justice emanates from the people and shall be administered in the name of the Republic by the judiciary, which shall be independent
Right.
and subject only to this Constitution. And so, to start with, the independence of the judiciary is mentioned, is provided for.
Right.
Article 125(3) says that the judicial power of Ghana shall be vested in the judiciary accordingly. And therefore, it goes on to say that neither the president nor parliament, nor any organ or agency of the president or parliament shall have or be given final judicial power. And of course, the Chief Justice presides over the judiciary. And Article 126 goes on to talk about the constitution of the judiciary.
Okay.
And it starts by saying that there shall be a superior court of judicature that is supposed to be made up of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the High Court, and the Regional Tribunal. And then it goes on to say that in such lower courts or tribunals as Parliament may by law establish. You would clearly glean from this provision in Article 126 that enough provision has been made for the judiciary. And as you were bringing to our attention, when we go to Article 128, where you were picking from, it talks about the Supreme Court.
Right.
And it says that, strangely, I don't know the mind of the framers of the Constitution, but they made provisions for the minimum number
right.
that we should have. They failed to cater for the maximum number. That becomes a gray area to start with. So 128 that you were rightly quoting says that the Supreme Court shall consist of the Chief Justice and not less than 9 other justices of the Supreme Court.
Correct.
And that it will usually be duly constituted for its work by not less than 5 Supreme Court justices, except as otherwise provided for in Article 133 of the Constitution. And so fundamentally, at any point in time, the Supreme Court is supposed to be made up of 5 Supreme Court justices.
When it's sitting, right?
Yes. In order for it to be duly constituted for its work.
Right.
It should not be less than 5. But then there is a caveat in 133. 133 talks about the fact that the Supreme Court may review any decision made or given by it on such grounds and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed by the rules of court. And in the reviewing of its decision, they are to be constituted by not less than 7 of the justices. And so then the 133 increases the threshold.
When the Supreme Court reviews its own decision, it needs at least 7 justices.
That's right.
Okay.
That is what the 133 that was referred to by 128 talks about.
Right.
And so then the Supreme Court is supposed to have at least 5 justices sit. I will look at it from 2 angles.
Okay.
The appointees, are they qualified to be appointed?
Right. I know somebody from the High Courts skipped the appeals court and is being appointed straight from the High Court to the Supreme Court. I don't know whether that is a practice that has happened before, but yes, I would love to hear what you have to say about that.
Appointment to the Supreme Court is based on you having a high moral character and proven integrity.
Okay.
And then you not serving less than 15 years as a lawyer.
Okay.
Not less than 15 years.
So you have to serve 15 and more.
Yes. So at least 15 years as a practicing lawyer with high moral character and proven integrity qualifies you to be appointed to the Supreme Court. Okay. That is a condition. That is the condition according to the same Article 128 that you were referring to.
Okay.
And so if A or B has been appointed, let's find out have they met this criteria?
Okay.
If, for me, I would want to be as objective as possible here.
Mhm.
If they have met this criteria, then I won't have any issues. But
Okay.
if they do not have a high moral character,
Mhm.
if they do not have a proven integrity,
Mhm.
if they are less than 15 years standing as a lawyer, then you are cooking it up for them. And
How do you establish all those elements that you just mentioned, the high moral character, proven integrity? How do we get to evaluate that? How do we assess that?
it is an objective man's test.
Okay.
Objectivity comes in here. It's not subjective.
Okay.
What is objective is when we go into the medical practice,
Mm-hmm.
the objective test is that the gynecologist consultant whose wife is pregnant is
Okay.
not supposed to treat that pregnancy.
Okay.
He's not allowed to take care of his wife for different reasons, emotional attachment, and so on. He may even miscalculate, he may misjudge, and so on and so forth, and will end up putting the life of the fetus and the mother at risk.
In danger. Okay.
And so on. And that is standard practice. Every medical person knows this.
Right.
I would find it very difficult to understand if Mr. A, who is a gynecologist, decides that Barbara is my wife and therefore I am going to treat her myself, knowing he may be the best of the best, but experience has proven to us, has showed us that some of these things do not work out. And so we are going to look at objectivity here. Who has a high moral character and who has a proven integrity? I mean, walls have ears. You and I know, we know ourselves.
Right.
Even if not for anything, we know ourselves as classmates, as coursemates, as friends, as peers.
Right.
Some of us can peer review ourselves, and of course, objectively, among us in class, we know those who are good, we know those who are terrible, and so on and so forth. When you take the police force, when you pick 10 police officers who have been together and have gone on operation for some time, they know who a good cop is. And yes, and so for me, we don't even have to go very far. Let's just find out from the practice for the past 15 years, what has been the character this person has displayed?
Right.
Has he been involved in some form of moral decadence? Has he been involved in some issues of integrity, that bothers around integrity? Has he been involved in compromising some decision making and so on and so forth? Has he been involved in some conflict of interest situation and so on? How did he handle this and so on? These are things we will look at. Plus, you look at their record, their track record, the cases they have sat on, and the judgment they gave.
Right.
Points to whether they have integrity or not. Most often than not, it is unfortunate when we try to reduce these things into
politics.
Yes, unfortunate, and I would always wish I never get into that field. But I wish we are as objective as we can. Have there been any complaints about any of these judicial officers?
Right.
Don't forget they are officers of justice who are supposed to uphold justice.
So these are questions that should be really asked by the vetting committee. Don't you agree?
These are questions that the vetting committee should ask. But these are questions I believe the appointing committee, appointing authority should answer before they even appoint. And so for me, I will even start before they nominate. Actually, I will start from that point. What was the criteria? Why was A, B, or C selected and not D, E, or F? Is it based on the years of practice? Is it based on the experience? Is it based on the judgment and so on and so forth? I remember some years back, I think it is over 30 years now, but I still remember when a particular judge, I know you will know, but I won't go into details. But then when a particular judge was to be appointed to the High Court, At that time, that judge was at the Ketu district and was the circuit court judge there.
Right.
I remember very well that they called for judgments, and so he had to objectively select 3 best judgments that, in his opinion, he had given
Right.
from the lot of cases he had sat on. And I remember he picked the 3 best that, in his view, were the best, and they had to send these out there for vetting.
Right.
This was before he got promoted from the circuit court to the High Court.
High Court.
And so there really was nothing personal about this. And there was another judge whose name I won't mention,
Okay.
who was his senior. That judge was the one who he took over from the circuit court in Denu.
Right.
For the period that judge stayed in office, the complaints were he didn't go to court. He was almost always drunk. When he was transferred, he took away everything from the residence, the sofa, everything he took away. Now, when it was time for promotion, that judge, whose name I won't mention, was not promoted. Although he was senior to whoever I am referring to here.
Right.
And so that alone tells me that they go through due process. That part I can vouch for. And in fact, there is another judge whose name tonight, please bear with me, I cannot mention his name, but he was giving me an advice, and I remember he said to me, I should do everything I can to get enrolled at the bar, get called to the bar, and I should do everything I can to practice, and that I shouldn't follow his like. And I asked Justice X, what do you mean by that? And then he said he practices all the 3 vices. He did the alcohol and the soft drugs, the weed and so on. He did the smoking. I mean, this is a judge who, by the time you sat with him and you were conversing, within about 5 to 10 minutes, he would have finished about 2 or 3 sticks of cigarettes. It was that bad. He was a living, if I can put it into inverted commas, a living chimney, sort of. So I asked him about Justice X. So if somebody is brought to your court and he's found with an unlawful substance on him, what will you do? And he says, well, the law will take its place. That judge, I know for a period, was not also promoted. And so when it comes to the promotion and so on, it's not on a silver platter.
Right.
As far as I know, it is on merit. It is on merit. It is on merit. A few names that came up. Permit me to mention 2 names here.
Okay.
Professor Bonsu. Professor Henrietta Bonsu.
Yeah.
I have met her just once, face to face.
Mm-hmm.
I have interacted with her just once.
Right.
But I have read her work.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen her work.
Right.
I've seen her contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Having achieved all that she has achieved in terms of academia,
right,
and going all the way to the places that she's been to. If she is appointed to the Supreme Court, Mr. Host, I won't doubt her capability.
Okay.
I won't say it is because it is the NPP in power or the NDC in power and so on and so forth, because of her track record.
Right.
And so if somebody like that is appointed, I mean, hey, and a few others like that whose track record I can speak to.
Right.
And it is nothing personal, because these are people, and like I just told you, Professor Henrietta Bonsu, if she's watching this, she will even tell you that she doesn't even know me. She won't even remember how we met.
All right.
But I've met her just once, face to face, and we have interacted just once. But hey, like I said, her contribution to scholarship and to, and so we need to be mindful of this part.
Right.
I think that we should be interested in whether they are duly qualified to be appointed.
Pointed, right? Okay.
And for me, if they are, then let us move on to answer the second question. Do we need that much number?
Right. So currently we have how many? Is it 18 or 14 so far?
I haven't verified the exact number.
Right.
I won't lie here.
Okay.
I haven't. But you see, the last time we had a conversation about the law exams and so on.
Right.
We spoke about the need to overhaul the entire system. It includes ensuring that the judiciary is not under strain, is not stressed up. Honestly speaking, if we are calling for the expansion of the law school, and now we have an appeal court in Kumasi and in Cape Coast and so on, then I think that it is a call in the right direction to increase their number so that they can focus, so that justice can be served. Justice is not supposed to be served only. It must be manifestly seen to be served. And so if one team of judges will be overloaded and they cannot deliver properly, what is the point? Why are we overburdening them?
The Justice Fiajo Commission, which is the Constitutional Review Commission, had recommended 15. That was the big book you were showing the last time we discussed.
I remember very well.
Right. So they recommend 15. And, so in even determining the number, I want to understand how they take cases on. Is it by application? Do they take every appeal? That is it a right that once you are not satisfied with an appeal court's decision that the Supreme Court will take your case, or it's an application and they have to look at the merits? They have to look at whether the case is what, if there is already a precedent, or if, how do they make that determination?
It comes under case management.
Right.
It comes under case management, and clearly there are rules of engagement.
Right.
An appeal is a right. A petition is a privilege.
Right.
If it is a right and everybody is entitled to justice, then you do not want to deny somebody of their rights.
Right.
It doesn't mean running to the court will make you successful anyway. But you see, an appeal is a right, and you will go through due process. Frivolous cases may not make it, I agree.
Right.
But you see, under the case management system, we determine which cases should go to which court and so on. The judges do not pick and choose which cases they will sit on.
Okay. Yeah. But so, for instance, in the United States here, what usually happens is that you have the right for that first appeal. You have a right to appeal your case from the trial court to the appeals court. But if you are not satisfied with the outcome, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, of course, if it's a federal case, right, because the states have their own court systems, which runs in analogous to the federal system. But let's just concentrate on the federal system. For instance, if you are not satisfied with your decision from the appeals court, you don't have an automatic right for appeal. You can do the application, but the Supreme Court will have to determine whether it is something they will take on or not. So I guess my question is, how does it work in Ghana? Is it just accepted? Are cases just accepted because you have a right to appeal to the Supreme Court, or is the Supreme Court using their discretion in the cases they select to adjudicate?
When you go through the websites of the judicial service, they have provisions for all of these processes to be followed.
Right.
You see, when you deny a party an opportunity to go to court, it looks like you are not allowing the wheel of justice to grind.
Right.
And that is where people may begin to lose confidence in the judiciary, etc., etc.
Right.
In actual fact, there is a case that involves the Republic and the High Court. Ex parte before, 2021.
Okay.
Talks about the fact that the court invokes the court's supervisory jurisdiction against the ruling of the High Court, and so on and so forth. And so the background to the ruling of the High Court was provided and all that. The point I am trying to make with this case is that there is a case management system that is put in place.
Right.
There will be a pre-trial conference. There will be a pre-trial conference. And in the pre-trial conference, you will determine all of these things, whether you have valid issues and so on, and whether
there will be a certification of the case before the pre-trial. There will be pre-trial, and the outcome of the pre-trial will be the certification for, whether it's going forward to summary judgment or pass beyond summary judgment to
exactly. And so all of these things will be dealt with during that process.
Right.
So normally the excesses will be shaved off, will be slashed away, and therefore the case management system would determine whether you have a substantive case that must proceed, that must go further, and so on and so forth.
Right.
So that is where you would determine whether you can go to the next stage or not, and then a date will be fixed for the trial proper and so on and so forth.
Right.
And the proceedings and so on will all kick in, and so that is what is done. You don't just get up and go to court on Monday morning and there you go. No. So
so in other words, the courts still have a way of ciphering out frivolous cases, and it's not every case that would actually make it all the way to the Supreme Court, to where we need about 21 justices so they can have multiple sittings at any single time. So let me ask, in your opinion, do you think 21 justices would be appropriate for a country the size of ours?
I was going to pick it from the commission's report that you made reference to earlier.
Right.
What informed the decision of that commission to recommend 15? That is something we should not sweep under the carpets.
Right.
That is very, very important. I think we need to look at that, and we need to look at the rationale behind that recommendation they made.
Okay.
They would have done a good job going around the entire country,
right,
doing what they did. In my opinion, we should stick to their recommendation.
Right. So in other words, 15 maximum.
Based on the reasons they gave, yes.
Right. Right. Okay. So
if we ever feel the need to increase, why not? We can increase.
Right.
But then for now, I will stick to that.
Okay. Awesome. So we are joined by a couple of our regular panelists too, and I'm sure they have questions. They are bubbling to ask those questions of you. So I have with me Lifetime Legacy. Lifetime Legacy represents the NDC. He's currently driving, and I usually don't like to engage. Because that in itself can pose problems. But I have Kojo DC, who is not showing his face. He's also in the studio. He also speaks for MPP. So I have one MPP rep from the Washington, D.C. area. And then I have Dr. Ato Komina Danso, who's in the Chicago area. So of all this, and he's a neutral, as we would like to call it. So they've heard you. okay, make the presentation about the two approaches that you would take, whether or not the judges that have been appointed or nominated are qualified to start with. It's something we should interrogate. And you think the appointer should be inquiry, that point where that inquiry should be made. And the second thing you also addressed was whether or not the number that is being thrown out there is appropriate for, and I think we should go to the Justice Fiajo recommendations, which is that we keep 15. So let me turn to them and see if they have any question for you. Let's go to Kojo DC first. Kojo, do you have any question for Lawyer Derick Mensah?
No, thank you again, Amuzu, Dr. Lawyer Mensah. Nice to see you again on the show, and my brother, Lifetime Legacy. How's everything? For now, I don't think so, but this is the only thing that I wanted to say.
Right.
I think a country of 30-something million people, we don't need more than 9 Supreme Court judges, even here in the United States, even there's no ceiling.
Right.
I think 9 is fair. We don't have to pack the courts, especially the kind of politics that we do in our country. And this will ask every president that comes in, just put his people out there. And it's also creating jobs for the people. And remember, all these people are also taking money from the consolidated Article 71 holders. And that is putting more burden on the country as well. So we should not, for me, even with the committee suggestion or proposal 15. That's 15, I think it's still too much. There shouldn't be a seal, because for prosperity's sake, there shouldn't be a seal for now. That's what I think. But in my judgment, 9 should be something that we all should be doing. If anything to come, maybe another 10 years we do like 13, or it should be something incremental.
Well,
that's what I think.
Are you looking at that because of the number we have in the United States here, where we have 9 Supreme Court justices?
No, because even here in the United States, it wasn't 9 Supreme Court. I think it was 7. I can be wrong, and somebody might correct me on that. But even here too, they don't have any ceiling on that. You know, if you look at it, Democrats are advocating for President Biden should just pile up the Supreme Court to even it in terms of the numbers, and people are against it. Like, it's good to have 9 at the moment. They increased it. It wasn't 9 initially. So I'm not even looking at that, but I'm just putting as a population of 30-something million compared to almost 300-something million. I mean, it's okay, and especially we don't have the finances for it either.
Well, you also got to realize that we have a state system that runs a parallel court system, right? So the states have their own. So every state have a Supreme Court of its own. So the United States case is a little unique. If you think about it, the U.S. have more than 50. If you think about the fact that maybe each state might have 5 Supreme Court justices or 7 Supreme Court justices, just multiply that by 50, and then come to so you know.
And my point is, are they able to take care of those people without having complaints? And are we able to take people take care of these same judges that we are putting there? Because remember, there's this big name of Supreme Court judges. Yeah, they give them some bodyguards, some cars, and what is their pay?
Right.
What is it? You understand? So we should put quality. Putting more. We're talking about justice here. People can just take a peanut. Some quote unquote lawyer, I beg you. Last time I think I come hard on you that, but people take goats and give judgment to people. So if you're not giving people who are looking after justice, and you're not taking good care of them, and you're just bringing in people because you can do it, and then there will be a lot of injustices going on. People taking money and just doing whatever they have to do, friends, political friends, cronies, whatever, and then they just give judgment if you don't have the money. So I think put quality people there, and then they can adhere to the law as it's supposed to be.
So, like you said, you don't have any question for our lawyer?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's always on point. So I just disagree with him in terms of the 15 as a seal. That's all.
No, the 15 was a suggestion by Justice.
But yes, but he also echoed that he will go with that suggestion. But I thought that is not it. So that's it.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to Lifetime Legacy. Lifetime, you need to park somewhere so we can talk, because I'm really worried about you driving and talking. Do you have any question for my brother, Mr. Derick Mensah?
Yeah, Alfred, thank you for the opportunity. And also, hello to my brother Kojo and Dr. Atu, and also our resource person, lawyer. I think I completely agree with lawyer submission. The people, regardless of their political affiliation, that are being appointed to the Supreme Court, nobody is doubting their competence and their achievement as far as their private life is concerned. But what some of us have problem with is how they can live above doing favor or paying back to the appointed authorities. I think that is where most of us have issues with. But when it comes to their pedigree, their credentials, we don't have anything to question, or we don't have any question about it.
So lawyer is saying that the Constitution requires that the appointee lives it has integrity, okay, and has practice. That person should be someone who has practiced law for 15 years. So that is a very objective one. We can verify that one easily. And they have high moral, standard or standing in the society. So these are things that I don't know if you've done any look into those, but I mean, those should be the standards by which we judge these people, correct?
Alfred, like I was saying, if we are to measure those people who are appointed, I am sure that they will meet the basic criteria that is needed to ascend to the position.
Okay.
But as a Ghanaians as we are, we are people who always like to show gratitude and appreciation to whatever gesture have been offered to us. It is not wrong to be appreciative, but often the cases are that we try to, instead of us to live above things or put up a behavior or put ourselves in a position where we live above doing favor or returning favor to the appointing authority, we still hold that allegiance to them that, hey, I got this position, but even though I merit the position, I was able to make it here because that appointer or the appointee, the appointer saw me out of a lot and give me that honor. And for that matter, I own that kind of allegiance to that person. Even if the person is wrong or right, and instead of us to live above the what do you call it? Live above the favor that it might be considered as being done to us. That is where the issue lies.
Okay.
They are able to look into the face of the appointing authority to tell them who also need favor from them, or who is a political animal, and everything that
I don't know whether you have a question for my guy, because we have to let him go. He's in Ghana. You're making a whole lot of statements. So just hold on to the statement. And I'm also I'm also a little worried about you driving. So if you can find somewhere to park, and then we can continue the conversation.
Okay, so let me wrap up by asking my question.
Okay.
My question to him, he's an insider, is how can and what can they do, since he's a member of that fraternity, what can they do to let the judges who be appointed, regardless of who appoints him, they can live above the appointer in returning favor, and look into the appointing authority's face and tell them, hey, this particular one, it is wrong. I can't do you a favor. How can they help for us to get to that standard?
Okay.
That's my question to him.
All right, let me add to that. I think even the Ghana Bar Association came out to say that they are not they are against increasing the number of judges. So I don't know if you want to put the two together and answer them together for us, please.
Yes, but I quickly want to comment on some of the comments he made earlier. Then,
Right.
you see, he is talking about we have a culture of saying thank you to whoever has appointed us. If that statement is true, then irrespective of who appoints them, they will be biased. That is what he's saying.
Right.
And if that statement is true, then it means that whether it is the NDC, the PPP, the NPP, the XYZ, the ABC, whoever is appointing, it means that we will not go forward, unfortunately.
But that hasn't been the case, right? Because, you know,
That hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case, and that is why I am trying to comment on that, because that hasn't been the case.
Right.
15 years at the bar with high moral integrity. I am wondering who would want to soil the address they have kept so clean for 15 years over a morsel of bread. They are human. I'm not saying they are above, please.
Right.
But you see, if you go through a process to build something, if you go through a process to build a career, if you go through a process to build a vocation, I am wondering why you would so easily let yourself off guard so that everything you've built will become a mess.
Right.
That is the first thing I want to say. These are men and women of integrity. These are men and women who have not reached where they are overnight. It's taken them years and years and years to build whatever they have built. That is even the reason why they have earned their recognition to be appointed.
Right.
It is because they have built something for themselves. That is why they earned their recognition to be appointed.
Right.
I am wondering I am wondering which football player will start playing coast to coast, will start playing League One and so on and so forth, come to play the Premiership, will earn a call to the national team, not for an African Cup, but for the World Cup.
Right.
I am wondering which player at that stage will decide I won't give my best on the field. All things being equal.
Right.
It is the same principle. It is the same principle here.
Right.
They've spent all these years building a career, building a name for themselves.
But
you know that when you get to the Supreme Court,
you
know that when you get to the Supreme Court, you have an opportunity of expanding our laws because every decision of the Supreme Court
becomes a president.
Who wouldn't want to have their names in the law books forever? When we come to the US, we have Justice. Is it Cardozo?
Cardozo, oh my God!
When we go,
Cardozo.
Yes. When we go to the UK, we have Lord Denning.
Right.
And Lord Denning, I'm told, was a BSc Maths student, first class in Maths, and then he decided to study law. Look at it. Beautiful. We have names like that here in Ghana. So many of them. The problem is that there is a saying in the local dialect that I'll try and translate. Anybody that is fond of beheading others, when you ask them to lie down flat,
they are worried.
They are worried. Why are they worried? Because then they are replaying.
Somebody might cut their neck.
And so for me, that is where I think I want to push it to.
Right.
In terms of the packing and all that. You know that as professionals, all of us as professionals, as technocrats, we owe a duty to our professional practice.
Okay.
To uphold some standards, whether you are a painter, whether you are a mason. Of course, there will be bad knots once or twice somewhere. But you see, fundamentally speaking, I I'm not so sure. They are human,
Right.
but no.
Yeah, but some recent judgments like the Abdullahi versus I mean some of the recent case judgments that came out of the court leaves you wanting, leaves you thinking. I mean, whether there is any truth to the perception that or what lifetime legacy is referring to, where there's any truth to that. Are they just saying thank you to the appointer, or what is influencing some of those judgments?
But the judges that ruled in the 2012 election petition in favor of His Excellency, the former president,
right,
John Dramani Mahama, were they all appointed by John Dramani Mahama?
Not at all.
So,
right.
so why can't we use that as a basis to say that they can be objective?
Right.
Why can't we use that? You see, everybody narrating their case would pick on the part that would make their case sweeter.
Right.
I walked into your room. I mean, let me cite a typical example. When I was growing up, I had a fight with our house help. My mom had stepped out. There was no one at home. I had a fight with our house help.
Right.
And when I had the fight with her, eventually I got a blade and I slashed her wrist.
Oh my God!
Because she started bleeding. Of course, initially when it started, my case was right. But I knew whatever went on, I was going to get beaten.
Right.
I went into the room. The dress in question we were fighting over, which was my shirt, had not been torn. But because I had slashed her wrist, I had to use the blade to slash part of the shirt, tear off 2 of the buttons to make a good case for myself.
Right.
So that when my mom came, she beat me up though. But after she had done that, I went to the room, I brought the shirt, and I said to her, this is what happened. This is what she did to me. That is how come I also reacted that way.
Right.
And then my mom realized I had a point there, and she said, well, I shouldn't have reacted that way because she was the one who was going to suffer the financial blah, 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 of both treating her injury and replacing my shirt. So, but you see, I did that to make my case solid. Nobody wants to lose a case.
Right.
Everybody will want to build a solid case at any point in time. And so I really do not see it. They will be objective.
Right. Okay.
But they're human.
They're human. So of course they are fallible. Let me bring in Dr. Atto, but I want to take both Dr. Atto and Mr. Dan Amposa. Dr. Atto is our neutral, and he may have a question for you too. So I believe Dan also. So Dr. Atto, first, let's hear from you.
Yeah, question. I'm sorry I missed the first part. So what is the reason why we are requiring to increase the number to 15? Because my follow-up question would be, how many cases are we doing every year that warrants an increase? If the lawyer, I tried to find out online, I couldn't find any case, the number of cases we do. I know in the US we do like 78 cases a year. So if there's an increase, then we think about Supreme Court.
But that 78 you're referring to comes out of about 2,000 applications each year.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the amount of cases that goes to the Supreme Court that is being discussed, or there's a verdict on them. 78.
So they get about 2,000 applications and they bounce all of them and pick 78.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool.
That's my question.
All right, sir.
I like your question, but unfortunately I cannot speak to it because I don't have data.
Yeah, I couldn't find the data either.
Yes, and I think that and that is why I was saying that the Justice Fiajo's recommendation I will go with, because that has data. I think we will have to look at that in order to answer that going forward. We have to look at the number of cases that goes in there and so on and so forth. I was of the view that the number should be increased to 15 because then I am thinking that based on the fact that we want to expand the training of lawyers and so on in Ghana. If we would expand it, then we could divide them into two, and then half of them would take care of the northern part of Ghana, and then the remaining half would take care of the southern part of Ghana in terms of cases and so on and so forth. That is why I would have gone for that, for the purposes of the benefits that our law students and so on will also derive from them. That is why I would have gone for that. But I really do not have the data as to the number of cases. But yes, I think we don't have to do things blindly. We cannot just do things for doing sake. And I think we are going to be going into the cedi dollar thing. And we've done things blindly for all these years. It hasn't helped us, and we are still doing things blindly. So yes, I agree with you fully. We need to have data. We need to speak to the data, and then based on the data, we can tell. And this is nothing personal. If there are not that many cases, then hey, we don't need that much in the court. If there are, then yes, we do. We do. Based on the question you've just asked, I remember 1985, 86 through to 1990. His name is Justice Kofi Ohemeng-Mensah. There's the circuit court judge at Denu. I remember the number of cases he dealt with was such that 3 previous judges who had spent about 12 years had not done half.
Right.
The number of cases, just one man came to do, and so on. So yes, if in that case he's calling for an expansion of that court to say there should be another court based on the caseload and so on, then it's fine. So that the caseload will not be too much of them, the burden will be reduced, so they can attend to cases properly and on time. Justice delayed will always remain justice denied. So yes, I agree with that question, but I think we need to speak to the data actually.
So far we have 15 justices of the Supreme Court, and what Akufo-Addo has done is, nominated 3 more. So when those 3 are confirmed, we would have 18 in total.
Alfred, I think Doug wants to ask another question.
So I was saying that, are we going to have time to talk about this more, or this is just it before we go to the next topic?
What do you have more?
I was going to discuss how the U.S. system, how it talked about a station time saves 9. I don't know if the lawyer knows about this. So apparently in the 1937, the President Roosevelt thought about increasing the number. So there were 5 consecutive judges and then 4 liberal judges. At the time, one of them realized that there's a high chance that the president may increase the number. So what he did, he started with the liberal justices. So that's how you have that a switch in time. It's supposed to be the stick in time, saves time. That's an old adage.
Right.
So this issue of adding numbers to Supreme Court is not just today. You can imagine how MPP comes. Okay, let me add 2. So it favors one or the other, and if you're not careful, then we're going to probably be at 50 or 90. Because if I come, but it's the same as the one in the US, because in the US we have a liberal system and then we have the conservative system. But in Ghana we have 2-party system. It's almost similar. The NPP and NDC.
Right.
Hopefully, I'm praying that the independent party comes to power, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So if we are not very careful when we talk about numbers like that, like I'm for all for data. If we feel like the numbers are increasing, then I'm for that. But if you don't have data to back that point, there's no reason why it's going to be the same. A station time will save 9. It's going to be the same situation where people are going to just stack up the court just so it favors them.
Right. Okay. All right. I don't know if Lawyer, are you still there? Okay. But, quickly, just before Lawyer, you come in, let's also remember that the United States has 2 parallel systems running concurrently, right? So if you really want to talk about the number of Supreme Court justices, it's not 9 in the United States. It's just so many of them. Each state has about their own numbers. So, so it definitely could be the workload Now it's just that they already have the 15, which was recommended by the commission constitutional review committee report, but we are surpassing that number. Let me bring in I'm hearing somebody else, but let me bring in the man who hasn't said a word so far, which is my brother Dan Amposan from the Washington DC area. Dan, it's your court.
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
In a republic that says Nyamebeye, Nyamebeye, I thought they didn't need judges because God does everything, right? Nyamebeye republic. They believe that omen and miracles happen by chance. So things will happen. They don't need to do anything, right?
Right.
As if God only loves the people of Ghana. He doesn't care about any other people else in the world.
Well, we say God bless our homeland, Ghana. And
Well,
then
the Nyamebeye republic people, God gave them sense. They have to use their brains to solve problems. There's a reason why God gave them brains, right? But they oftentimes relegate that, thinking that that doesn't matter. What matters is let's pray, and some manna will fall. Everything got resolved because there's some miracle God that does everything through miracles. Well, I don't know. In the Namibia Republic, if they are not thinking that, oh, we need real men to solve real problems, then it appears some thinking is going on. So on that note, I'll probably want to say kudos to them about thinking about constitutionalism. But even though they are trying to be more constitutional, trying to use their own constitution rules, laws, and they still believe in their little traditional things, right? They still don't leave that behind. They still use some unorthodox means to resolve issues, conflict.
Right.
So we have a long way to go. I mean, you see, the difficulty with our system is that we are trying to build a democracy on top of a traditional system, right? And so sometimes they play side by side, and we are trying to let people dissuade people from this traditional means of seeking justice to bring them into a more formalized system, a more logical system, a more, I would say transparent system, right?
Predictable, yep.
And so that is the difficulty we have because we now have to convince people why they need to believe in our system of legal jurisprudence, right? And we have to build that case over time. And people have to have confidence in our court. Why should somebody stop going to Tigeri and come to the Supreme Court to resolve a matter?
Right.
We have a more difficult work to do to convince people that, hey, what you can get at Tigeri, we can provide a more transparent, scientific way to get that same justice in a court system. So rely on the court system and let's resolve dispute to build this society together. But 34 million people, and the Ghana's constitution, I don't think it's as bulky as the federal papers, the federalist papers that built the United States and all the considerations that went into it.
Right.
So honestly speaking, I thought nine was okay. I mean, if a matter comes and it is that agent for the Supreme Court to decide on, they should prioritize. That's all they need to do. They don't need to resolve all conflicts within a specified period of time. If it comes and it's so important that it needs to be resolved within a specified, they should reprioritize and sit down and focus on them. Why is it that, I mean, in the case of like just like we prioritize when there's an election and there's a dispute, right? We prioritize and we set a certain timeline, right? And we work towards that timeline to resolve the dispute and then declare a winner and then we move on. So if a constitutional matter comes and it requires that kind of prioritization, they can do that within the nine that they have. I don't think having 15, because where would the limit ever be? Even if we go to 15, at some point somebody will come and say, let's move it again.
We are 15 now.
Well,
and we are moving it to 18.
Yeah, if we are 15, 18, do we have the finances to be able to, keep all these folks out there? I don't think what we need is too much of our constitution. We all know there are issues. We should just reform the constitution and resolve those issues. And that way, the Supreme Court will not have a lot of issues to deal with in terms of interpretation. You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Constitution is a living document. Supreme Court will always, one way or the other, when they make their judgments, they will always expand on that definition and create new laws by way of, ruling on the matter, right? So that function will never stop. But I think that the things that we need to focus our attention is constitutional reforms. and make things a little bit clearer so that we don't leave so much ambiguity in the process, and then that will require somewhat Supreme Court calling on another body to interpret many of these things,
Right.
And that is where I'll focus my attention. But I don't believe we need an increase on the number. I think what we have now works for us. It doesn't. What constraint has it posed to us? Well, like what difficulties have we had with what we have now? I don't see it now. And I will say, let me even use this opportunity to say that they've even done well for themselves, because after the murder of the judges, if not for the resolve of the lawyers and their determination to have a jurisprudence, I think many people would have, lost hope in that system. But after that, they still built up this system, and what they have now has pretty much served them well. It has served the Republic well. It doesn't mean they've had it all right, but I think what they have now, if you look at the history of, Supreme Court jurisprudence and what they've been able to do, I think to a large extent, they've been able to go past, an average. They've done largely well for themselves. They've been able to balance the forces of, politics and then legal and then law. In an environment where many people are not legal people, they don't understand jurisprudence. You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
That is tough. That is a different environment than in a country where democracy is their only source of, the law court is the only source of resolving legal disputes. In our system, people are yet to come to that understanding fully that, hey, we have a legal system because it resolves this conflict. Some people still don't even know what our courts do because they resort to their own traditional system. So I want to think that now it's okay, 15, 18, I think that would be too much. I don't think Ghana will need it. It's just like we are going to make that same mistake like the way we've increased parliament, right? Just increasing.
Right.
And I don't think it's
maybe after we increase 18, we might switch to the constituencies and increase them.
Yeah, actually, what we actually need is that we need more devolution of judges at the local level, right? At the district, beyond the district, what else is
we need more trial courts.
Right, we need such more so that the
more trial courts you have, the more cases get created and they all go through the system because people have the right to appeal. So,
but that is fine. At least that gets seeded, right? If it gets seeded, if some cases are going through the system and it's seeding and it's coming to the Supreme Court, they will be picking on the most important one and dealing with them. Those that really materially need agent attention. It's not every case that comes to the Supreme Court that requires an immediate ruling, right? The ruling can be delayed and it will not have any effect on the population, right?
Right.
So as for me, I think they should focus more on giving access to many people in the rural areas to access legal resources. I think that is better than trying to focus at the top. And that top, it will only serve politicians who will argue among themselves and try and go there.
Okay. Let me get
Alfred.
Yeah.
Alfred, quick question. Do you say we have 15 Supreme Court judges as of now?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
When was the number increase? Because even at the last sitting that they had, there were 9.
I can go. Oh, yeah, Akufo-Addo has been busy. So we have His Lordship Doche. I'm just reading quickly out the names of the current ones. We have His Lordship Doche, Jones Doche. We have His Lordship Justice Paul Bafo Boni. We have His Lordship Justice Yao Apao. His Lordship Justice Gabriel Pao Mai. Then we have Justice K. Mafo Sao, Ladyship Justice Agnes M.A. Doji, Justice Nene Abayate Ofo Amegache. We have Justice Professor Ni Ashikote. We have Her Lady Justice Mariama Usu, Her Ladyship Justice Ariel Lovelace Johnson, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokuno. We have His Justice Clarence J. Honyanuga, and then Justice His Lordship Justice Isifu Imoro Tanko Amadu, Her Ladyship Justice Professor Henrietta Yao Abena Nyaku Mensa Bonsu, and then His Lordship Justice Emmanuel Yoni Kulendi. So those are 15 so far.
I didn't hear even Justice Enemy Yeboah, which is the Chief Justice.
He's the Chief
So
Justice. So
then that will be 16 then, if my counting was right.
Just nominated 3 more to be added to that.
Yeah,
so
that makes it 16 actually.
That makes it 16. If we add Justice Enemy Yeboah,
yes, it does.
Then that makes 16.
Yes.
Yeah. So then we've
a small country like Ghana.
Yeah. Okay. So, Prof, you've heard a few things. Do you want to, comment on some of that before we switch over to talk about the Cedi?
I would only want us to treat our case as a local case and not be swayed away by what is happening in other jurisdictions.
Right.
Do we need that much? If we don't, then we don't. And in my candid opinion, we don't.
We don't. Okay.
That is all I would say. The fact that another jurisdiction has doesn't mean we should have.
Right. I mean, but the case is such that you have all our case is such that you have all these cases that find their only ultimate resolution in the Supreme Court, the single Supreme Court, right? Like we said, in other jurisdiction with the population that they have, there are Supreme Courts in every state which cater for, and majority of the issues actually are states or reside in the states, right? The Constitution, the Supreme Court only comes, the federal courts only come in if there's a constitutional matter, or if there's a diversity of jurisdiction, right? Or if they have a subject matter jurisdiction. So it's not all the time that the federal system is actually invoked, and therefore 9 seems to be appropriate for a place like the United States because they have other court systems that would cater for people. In Ghana, the only one we have is that one singular system, and therefore you can see where the problem comes, where we would need more than at least 9. But you could also see a case being made for more than 15. I'm just putting that out there.
How many judges do we have in the UK? Supreme Court judges. How many judges do we have in Canada? How many judges do we have in Australia? How many judges do we have?
But the UK system have the Court of Equity, and then the Court of Law.
But if you want to start, comparing, then we should compare like to like. We don't need it.
Okay.
And plus, Alfred, you don't have the data to back how many cases we are doing. We don't even know how many cases we're doing.
Right.
So how do we justify that?
I would think that the people who are doing appointments are aware of these things, and those numbers, though they are not in the public domain, somebody knows, right? We may not.
You should share that with the public so that it makes sense that you.
I think they are aware. Yes, like Doc is Ryan is saying, they should share it. That should be public knowledge.
Right.
That shouldn't be kept at the bosom of somebody. I mean, hey, it is for us all, so it should be shared.
Right. Okay, guys, let's take a quick break, and then in about 1 minute to return to discuss our currency and the troubles that is going through. We'll be right back.
Just one more pic, JJ, please.
Oh, Mama. Really?
Smile. It's not every day my eldest son graduates.
I couldn't have done it without you.
All without Auntie Jane's generous support.
Here is to Auntie Jane's well-appreciated World Remit money transfers.
World Remit Corporation is licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services, as a foreign transmittal agency by the Massachusetts Division of Banks, number FT1179663, and licensed by the Georgia Department of Banking and Finance, NMLS 1179663, Massachusetts Foreign Transmittal License, FT1179663.
World Remit, a better way to send money. Download the app or visit worldremit.com.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid health insurance program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show. This is a segment that we would, discuss the Cedi, the issues with the Cedi. We've just wrapped up the conversation about the Supreme Court judges, and we've heard some really good things. The suggestion is that the 15 that we currently have is enough. We really don't need more, but here we are. We have 3 more going through the parliamentary process and getting vetted, and we'll soon have 18. Matter of fact, we have 16 currently, and we'll soon be adding 3 to it, which means we'll have 19 once that process is complete. Now, let's look at the Cedi. Bloomberg has been reporting. I think Bloomberg is now, they now have more information on Ghana than the average or even the Ghana graphic itself, right? So Bloomberg has been reporting that historically, the Ghanaian cedis will continue to fall regardless of what we do with the rate hikes. So basically what you're seeing is that the Bank of Ghana is using its monetary levers, the monetary tools they have in their pouch, to sort of manage, the state of inflation that we currently have in our country. In other words, they're siphoning money out of the system by raising interest rates, so that it's attractive for people to actually put their money in treasury bills, which means, they are gradually taking money out of the system to kind of curb inflation. But the more they do that, it poses hardship on people. It causes interest rates to be high. And at the same time, the currency is depreciating. And they're doing all these things to kind of also somehow arrest the fast depreciating currency. Dr. Bawumia has promises that, the currency depreciation has been arrested and the key has been given to the IGP. So people are asking, where is Dr. Bawumia, especially at times like this? Let's talk to our lawyer first, because he has about some 15 minutes to leave us. Lawyer Derick Ohemeng, you are in Ghana, so you are really actually going through the difficulties that people are experiencing. Please share with us how things are going in Ghana, because my understanding is currently you go on the road and the roads are empty because people are not able to afford, the gas prices, which is currently about 14 to 15 cedis per liter. Tell us, how are things going in Ghana, and how is this whole Cedi depreciation manifesting on the streets or from people or friends that you're interacting with?
Insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different result.
Okay.
That is where I want to start from.
Sure.
We've had issues in this country with the dollar and the Cedi thing. And as far as I can remember, in 1994, in 1993, at the sixth form, I studied the economy of Ghana, and these are issues that came up.
Right. And then we went for the strata adjustments back in the 80s just to kind of sort stuff out. Yeah.
Yes. Fast forward, what has happened?
Right.
Nothing. Kufuor did a redenomination or re something.
He took 4 zeros off.
Whatever that was, hasn't helped us.
Right.
I am looking at it from this point. we are jokers. Excuse my language. We are not serious. We don't want to address the issue. A colleague went to the shop, wanted to buy a water closet thing. The price they mentioned on Monday. When he went on Wednesday, the price had doubled.
Right.
And he had to pay. And it's like you either pay for it now, or because when you come back the next time, it will still have gone up.
It will go up, yeah.
A gallon of oil, the bigger yellow one, the one they call the Kufuor gallon.
The cooking oil. Oil.
Yes. I understand it used to be 400 Ghana cedis. It went to 650. Earlier in the week, it had reached 1,000 cedis.
Wow.
That is how bad things are. On Monday, the GPRTU says they are going to increase fares. I think that they wanted a 30% increment. I don't know what they have arrived at yet. The issue with the dollar and the cedi. Who is in charge of the dollar? It is the Bank of Ghana that is in charge of the dollar. The Bank of Ghana is the one that releases the dollar into the system.
Yeah.
And so for me, who are we going to blame? We are going to blame the Bank of Ghana.
But they don't have it released.
I am coming there.
Okay.
I'll come there. The Bank of Ghana releases it through the commercial banks.
Right.
And then through the registered forex bureaus. The laws in Ghana say that the black market does not exist.
Right.
And so
black markets.
And so it is a commercial bank and then the forex bureaus that have been duly registered, regulated by the Bank of Ghana that is supposed to deal in this currency. You go to the commercial bank for dollar and they will tell you we don't have dollars. And they will give you a phone number of a certain Alaji. They will ask you to call Alaji Moro.
All right.
You will call Alaji Moro and he has dollar. My point is this. If Alaji Moro knows that there is no dollar in the system, he will increase his rates.
Right.
And that is one of the major problems we are facing.
Right.
In terms of the regulation and in terms of being honest with ourselves. We ought to hold an honest conversation here. We are insane doing the same thing and expecting to have a different result. Some people are saying the dollar will be 20 cedis by December. I am not a prophet of doom. Even if it gets to 30 cedis, I will not be surprised by virtue of what is going on as it stands now. The truth is that we are still right. The next thing is that as Ghanaians, you know we are still entertaining and harboring the desire and the taste for foreign goods. Can you imagine people sit here in Ghana and they drink water from Kirkland and from Walmart, water from Aldi in Germany, water from Tesco in the UK? What level of insanity is assuming that this Belacqua that is made in Ghana is not of a good standard? What stops us from ensuring that the manufacturer brings it up to speed, up to the standard that is required? But we are not doing that. We are using the dollar to import Nesquik chocolate. We are using the dollar to import sweets, Maltesers. Maltesers. We are importing Maltesers, and so on and so forth. Why would the cedi be able to stand? Now, number two, you have a cartel importing rice from all over. And these people who are importing the rice and the sugar behind the scenes are financing the political parties.
Right.
So it is a problem to stop it. But my brother, you and I know of Aveime, you and I know of Abiba, you and I know of Ejura, and so on and so forth, where they grow rice. I have personally undertaken an experiment. I poured the perfume rice into a rice cooker and I put it on cook. In the morning around 6:45 a.m. By 7:15, it told me it had cooked.
It's dready.
Yes, I turned the rice cooker off and I went to work. When I came back in the evening, it had become watery. It spoiled. It's gone. I cooked the local rice in the same rice cooker.
Right.
Given the same time, 24 hours, there was nothing wrong with that rice.
Right.
About an extra 12 more hours, there was still nothing wrong with it. The rice we are importing is rice that has no health nutrients for us. You know that when they harvest the rice, they take off the nutrients, and that is what is used in preparing cough mixture, and that is what is used in manufacturing the dashboard of the vehicles we use. And so when they finish, the white substance has no nutrients, but because they don't want to discard or throw it away, they perfume it and then they pack it up, and it becomes perfume rice, and that is what we are importing. Unfortunately, the problem, there are government policy failures, I agree, which we can deal with. But honestly speaking, the Ghanaian has contributed to this whole thing. With all of these, I do not know this crazy demand. How on earth would you want to drink Kirkland water? I don't understand it.
Well, if you look at what is happening with Galamsey, with the water bodies being polluted, then you should be justified in wanting to drink Kirkland water, shouldn't you?
We have not yet come to that point. We will get to that point. But you see, we are importing Kirkland water and so on, and we are paying duty on these things.
Right.
And it is going to take the dollar. The local market is flooded with these foreign products that we can have here, and we don't want it. And so that also puts some pressure on the dollar. Our own local content stuff is not being respected. For all these years, all of these suggestions we've had in the classroom, Ghana's economy, how to grow it and so on. What have we done about it? I cite only one example. Cocoa Board every year has gone for what they call a syndicated loan. And they are so excited. They mention it in billions. Right. We have raised this amount in loans for the farmers. For the past 50 years or so that we have been going for this loan, my brother, the question is, what steps have we taken as a nation to stop the taking of the syndicated loans? Because then I would have expected that we would decide that, okay, every year we will set aside 5% of the principal we have gone for. Right. So that going forward, we will be reducing the volume of the loan till we can raise enough money and be on our feet in that area. Right. But what do we see? We go for the money. A portion is allocated for so-called cocoa roads, which never gets built. Right. And if they are built, they last for 2 years, and they are in a more they are in a worse off state than they used to be, and so on and so forth. And so you see, the issue is that we need to take pragmatic steps to deal with this dollar Cedi thing. The importation is what is messing us up, and we are importing everything, including toothpick. Bamboo is so much here. It's used for the toothpick, but we use our bamboo for the construction of houses. When they want to floor the floor, that is when they go for the bamboo. And once that is done, government expenditure must be looked at. I mean, hey, it is high time we call a spade a spade. The number of government appointees and so on must be cut down. We are joking. Japan has how many ministers? What is their total number? The US has how many ministers? Australia has how many ministers? Are they not functioning? Do we need that much, over 80 ministers and their deputies? Is that what will get the job done? And so I think we need to deal with that. You see, the importation of poultry, we can be self-sufficient here in Ghana. Eco farms and so on. But unfortunately, the poultry industry has been hijacked by the politicians once again, by both the NDC and the NPP. And for once, I'll mention by both of them. So it's not surviving. Why can't we just focus on and decide we are no longer going to import poultry? As a people, we are going to grow the poultry we will eat. Everybody should patronize the local. The pressure on the dollar will be eased. And then we have, to quote and unquote the statement of the late Jerry Rawlings. We have greedy bastards who are hoarding these things because they are speculating and they really do not need it. And so one of the things that should be done is measures should be put in place. Before you are giving the dollars, you should be able to prove whatever importation you are going to undertake and so on and so forth. And then it is given to you. If these measures, because we are not in normal times, these must be dealt with if we really want to.
We need a political will for this type of things, because you can't. Whoever attempts to do any of this, I'm sure, would get the wrath of the people. The people
Ekufuado, my president, is not going to stand the next elections. Ekufuado should have the wherewithal to deal with this. Not thinking about anything. After all, his term has come to an end.
But he would not break the 8 if he goes there.
You will be amazed if he's able to do that and things turn around. They may be able to break it. But then what is this crazy thing about breaking the 8? Must they break the 8? Is Ghana for one party? Must they break the 8? The very last thing I want to quickly comment on, Article 71 of the 1992 Constitution, what we call the Article 71 office holders.
Right.
I think, you see, during the colonial period, people were brought from the UK to come and work here. They left the comfort of their homes. They left the comfort of their families and all other benefits. And so there was an attempt to make them feel a little bit comfortable. My village DCE, my village district commissioner was a white man. In my village, you had to make him feel comfortable. And so they would put up a very nice building and structure, give him a car, give him a cook, give him a driver and so on to compensate for some of the losses he was going to lose. Fast forward, at independence, my cousin is the DCE. My cousin lives in my father's house. He doesn't need all of these things. I am trying to look at the fact that Article 71 should be scraped off the Constitution, or it should be revisited. It is one of the losses. It is one of the causes of the losses in this country that we are not accepting. How do you give a minister a saloon car? How do you give him a 4x4? How do you give him a driver? How do you give him a cook? Security, a steward, a day watchman, a night, blah blah, and so on and so forth. He lives at Roman Ridge. I have said this: Roman Ridge to their ministries, in the interest of keeping a healthy lifestyle, they should be able to jog from Roman Ridge to where their work is. It's not that far, but they sit in V8. Goil fuel coupons are given, which ends up in the pockets of girlfriends and so on and so forth, and it ends up in other unsuspecting pockets. And we are the cause, honestly speaking. And indeed, for once, I think all the talking will not help us. For once, all the talking, all the what financial analysis, the multiple regression analysis, the maneuver, the what ANOVA, and whatever you guys will
the L curve, the LSM curves.
Yes, all of those things you will bring on board will not help us. What will help us is the basic economy of Ghana we learned at the secondary school. Change our taste buds, change some of the things we are doing, stop the importation of the things that is bringing the pressure on the city. And we should be bold enough to say no more importation of rice, no more importation of sugar, no more importation of poultry, and so on and so forth. The things that we need. But the ones that will be luxurious, you eat perfume rice and so on.
Right. But they will say that is too much government control, so yeah.
We are not in normal times. The place where we have reached is such that there has to be government control. Nigeria has never gone to the IMF, have they? Why haven't they ever gone to the IMF? What have they done differently?
Right. So I know Nigeria's banned importation of rice at some point.
Yes.
Yeah. So it takes political will, and I'm not sure if our current administration has that. Anyway, I know you want to leave us. You have further commitments. Any last words that you want to leave with the listeners and viewers before you actually take a leave of us.
The first statement I started with, insanity is repeating the same processes and expecting a different outcome. That is what I will leave with your audience. The truth is that we need to call a spade a spade. We can't call a spade a big spoon. We have issues. We have issues in this country. The dollar and the cedi. We have issues. We need to hold the bull by its horn, and we need to eat that elephant one
piece at a
time. Exactly. And so that is one. And this has nothing to do with the NDC or the NPP. It is Ghana, and so we need to fight as Ghanaians. Thank you very much for hosting me. Thanks so much for the opportunity, and thanks for everything. We will talk on the flip side.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. That is Lawyer Derick Ohemeng-Mensah. Thanks for all the wisdom he was able to share with us today. Let me bring my brother Kojo DC to submit his contribution on this issue. Kojo, so you've heard somebody who's in the system in Ghana share his perspective with us with regards to some of the issues that we cause ourselves, especially with the type of things that we have, drinking water, even now eating our own rice, our own chicken, and all that stuff being the main cause of the pressure on the currency. That we should fight together as people. What do you think about all this? Do you still think is it will be easy for political party or administration to actually want to impose some of the things that this guy just described as things that we cause ourselves? Do you think the president would find it easy saying, look, no more rice from overseas? Because we had this conversation last week where we say, should we go back to some sort of banning of certain products? What do you think about that?
Thank you very much, Amazu, again. Let me start with this statement. Honorable Kennedy Ohene-Japan always says, Ghanaians are born bad. We are the enemies of our own self.
Right.
And the fact is, Doc just said, the lawyer Mensah just said it all. Most of the things that we've been doing this thing in decades. Right. I always want to emphasize and put my emphasis on the Fourth Republic. The syndicated loan, even that lawyer was saying, I think it started under Kufuor, under the NDC. The first NDC wasn't there. It started under Kufuor. I think that was 2006 or something, right? And why are we repeating that thing till date?
Right.
Why are we always taking loan? And remember, anytime
it's easy money.
Yes, it's easy money. Anytime our dollar falls, all you hear is now that we are out of the market, so we can go for loans, right? So we're out of the market, so we don't have that choice. Well, there's going to be a syndicated loan coming, then it will stabilize the dollar. Yes. What are the syndicated loans for? The purpose of it is to give it to the PPs, the buying companies, to go buy cocoa. Why are we using that to justify the stabilization of a dollar?
Well, it just means that there's dollar in the system now. When they are buying, they would pay this dollar to the farmers or whoever.
Yeah, but meanwhile, the city that you're borrowing from the locals, you don't have the money. You have produce. You are not able to pay contractors. You're not able to pay your indebtedness. So you go and collect another. They are piling more debt on you. If you're digging it, if you're in a hole, you dig, or you try to find a way out to come out of it. So yes, I don't know what to say about the dollar. For me, I'm sitting here, I'm crying within me because I'm losing a lot of money.
Is hitting home?
Very, very well. You understand? So when it comes to the dollar thing, see, I always put myself into the shoes of anybody because at the end of the day, we are humans first, before political parties or whatever association that we go to, right? We got to feed our families. But when the place is hurting, you don't think, oh, I'm this party, so I'm not saying them. No, this is hurting, my brother. It's going into our pockets. Now it's left with the few that there's going to be a hole. Because, for instance, if you're selling something that in just last year, and not just like this December, right? You're having $10,000 for selling the same thing for 50, and now you're having 4,700. Where are you going to make that money? Where are you going to recoup that money from?
Right.
You lost almost $6,000 out of that amount. Enough of the complaint. This is what I always say. I think this is the time where politicians, especially my government in power, we should have that initiative. I think Lawyer Mensah said something which is so profound. Right? If we can do things right, we can turn things around. I'm not even thinking of breaking the 8, which I would love that thing to happen. But this is the situation at the moment. I always said it as an example. When the former Bush, the older one, was torn between helping the American economy or winning a political party, we need to become a president. He chose the latter. What did he do?
Right. That's what you expect from presidents.
Exactly. And this is what I am advocating for as a member of NPP, as official of the NPP.
Be careful now. You are official. You are official. So
I live in America. I work for America. I don't get paid from Ghana.
Right.
Right. The thing is, we should do things right, and we know all these people who is leading Ghana, both political parties, have traveled, have schooled. They know this. They know the things that are right. There are researches that have been done that is dusting up in archives somewhere that we are paying money to even protect those things, but we are not implementing it because we know what we have to do, and we are not doing it.
Right. Right.
So for me, the way the thing is going, nobody should even be happy, because at the end of the day, yes, it's affecting the NPP, but it's affecting every Ghanaian, our pocket. You wake up in the morning, you have about 30 missed calls. People, everybody asking you to send something. And as you come to America too, we are also almost in a recession. It's hard here too. But Ghana is different.
It's different.
I just have to admit that.
Ghana and Brooklyn, there's big difference between those two things.
Exactly. So, but here, it's also hard here, and we all can admit to that.
It is.
The money that we are spending every day. If you go to the grocery store and you enter, you come back and then you say, this small thing, $300, it used to be $100. So we should also admit that there are so many things. But for me, let me say this, because I don't really have much to say when it comes to this dollar thing. When you say, what's up with the dollar, I was like, what's up with your friend? And the friend said, good, okay. I'm doing good. Now I'm doing bad. That's exactly what is happening. What the dollar to the city. We don't have anything to say. We can't sugarcoat this. This is just the fact. It is bad. And it's not the doing of Dr. Bawumia Nanado. It's the fundamentals of our economy. And we all know that. No,
I'm waiting for Paul on this one.
No, besides admitting that we are in government, we take the blame, right? And I admit that. But we know, as a matter of fact, government has to change in hands tomorrow morning. There's nothing whoever becomes the next president is going to do immediately, unless we change them. So this is my suggestion. If we want to really solve this problem in terms of the dollar thing, because there are politicians, businessmen who are behind politicians who have held a lot of cities. And then we have this expatriate who have come into our country, who are doing business, who have a lot of cities because they bring the things cheap. I'm a businessman, talking as a businessman standpoint, right? They come in, they don't care buying the dollar from you, Amuzu, for, let's say, $10, 10 cities. And just wait 2 months, and it will be 15 cities. And they'll make the money.
A lot of dollars that they are hoarding.
Exactly. So the regime, and we don't know who is holding what, because there's no system to check who has how much money in the system. People are holding money under their beds and all of that. We have that. This is my suggestion, just to finish with it. We should go the Indian way, like President Modi did. Every money within 2 years or a year, if my government want to listen, if we really want to control this financial thing that is going on, without having it, because we can monitor the black market and the Bank of Ghana or the banks in Ghana give you money to allow Jesus, we all know we can do it. But when you have a digital money where you don't have any cash in your hand, everything is done through digital.
Right.
Yes, there's going to still be a manipulation, but it's going to be with a certain people. Like I always say, in every rules of engagement, there's exception. Some people are going to make something out of it, which is going to be very minimal compared to now where everybody, quote unquote, really bastard, I'll borrow Papa Jerry's thing, will just have money. Somebody who have never worked any day in his life because of political expedience. He become rich in a day and can buy anything that he wants. That will come down, and that will be the only way, and then we change the fundamentals of the economy. But for now, this is what I'm advocating for. This is the time all political parties, especially the two major political parties, should come together. Because today you're laughing at Nanado. When the table turns, the same Ghanaians, for Mama 1 minute. This is the time we all have to come together and think about the country Ghana. Because this thing, if it goes $20 by December, man, some of us will lose a lot of money.
The way there, because every day you check and
I won't be surprised. This morning, I think this is a
Midonyami.
You see, that's the point. You see, this is a country where everything is and yet you're man uncle. How can you have a life like even when you're doing business and you be so lenient, then you're going to lose money. You can't lose money. As business, you have to fight for your inside. Once you get your whatever you have, then you can think of doing good for other people. But this is a country everybody does anything and goes.
Right.
And then we talk, and nothing. But please, this is the time we have to think about the country. And thinking about the country is these two political participants to this point. Because at the end of the day, today people are booing. The next day is going to be a different thing.
Right. Okay. Cool. People are booing today. Next day it might be different. Wherever the presidents go, you hear who. But let me actually bring Paul in on this one. Paul, it does sound like the MPP, and this is the first time I've actually listened to Kojo being very, direct with his statements on what he thinks. He actually channeled. Yeah.
Avre, you see.
Let me finish.
Let me greet your listeners.
So he channeled Rollins in this in this one statement he made. He actually said he doesn't care about breaking the eight no more, and those are profound. I mean, listening to it, I believe that the MPP or the current government has been warned. People said this over and over that the trajectory we are taking, it's going to end up in a situation like the one we currently find ourselves in. Do you agree, Paul?
Well, that's what I was there to say. That you see, I greet my brother Kojo DC, and then Legacy, and then yourself and anybody who's listening to us. You see, this
Dr. Ato is listening to us. He's on too, so recognize Dr. Ato for us.
Oh, he's on. Oh, okay. I greet him too. You see,
hey, Paul and shenanigans. Okay,
you see, these people, they have no shame. This MPP communicated, they have no shame. These are some of the things we've been saying, and they've been insulting us.
Right.
That the tragedy that they are following or they are going is not helping the country.
Right.
It's not going to bring us to, independent. You remember when they were in opposition, Dr. Baumia came out with a lot of theories, good theory. And my good friend Dr. Ato and co-ways, praising him. He became the economic whiskey of the time. And you remember, the president went and stood on a platform and told all of us that all the heavenly wisdom has been given to Dr. Baumia. So where is Dr. Baumia? Where is he now? I think my good friend Dr. Ato, who I've been fighting with for some time now, should tell us where Dr. Baumia is. We want to know where is Dr. Baumia. Why is he not talking? Why? Has he forgotten about all the economic theories he was preaching to the good people of Ghana in 2014, 2015, 2016? Has he forgotten about them?
Right.
You see, this thing that is happening to Ghana is as the fault and doing of these super incompetent people. Why am I saying so? I told you that the cause of our troubles started from 2020. Instead of them looking at the interest of the country, they wanted to win power at all costs. And this is what has led us to where we are today. If 2020, our deficit was 15.7%, what do you expect? That is the genesis of all we are going through. Because they shared money was spread all over just to win political power. And you won a political power, and the outcome of what you did in 2020 is biting all of us. I am not happy a bit. For $1 going for almost 15 Ghana cedis, it's a disgrace for all of us. I am not happy a bit that as we speak, inflation is hitting almost 40%. I am not happy about it.
Right.
I'm not happy about it as we speak. We've borrowed over 402 billion Ghana cedi. Nothing to write home about. I am not happy about it. For now, what can we do? The harm has already been caused by this super incompetent Nana Addo and his people. And you see, the most annoying part of the whole issue is that did you hear him 2 days ago what he went and said on a political platform in Kumasi? That those people who are looking for him, they will get disgrace. I mean, you see, this is the time for Nana Addo to sit down as an elderly man and think of the interests of the country.
So he's always in a political
This is not the time for him to be playing mischief and throwing tantrums left and right. You see, let me tell you some analysis this afternoon. Because he's not paying a cedi, even the food he eats, we pay for him. So he doesn't feel the way the other Ghanaian is feeling. As we speak, I sympathize with my brother Kojo DC because he's a businessman. If you are having 10,000 at the beginning of this year, okay, that 10,000 has depreciated to almost $4,000 to $5,000. Why? Why? Because all the things they were doing that we're telling them that, hey, look, the things you are doing, you are going to the wrong direction. When we raised the issues, there were journalists in Ghana. I'm telling you, the trouble of Ghana is a result of the journalists and then the Christian body and the religious bodies we have. They have the cause of Ghana's problem. They could not call this old man into order. Now, look, I think we should declare HIPIC. Where we've gotten to, we should declare HIPIC.
We can't go HIPIC no more because we are middle income now.
Alfred, it's so terrible.
We put ourselves in the tax corner, trust me.
It is so terrible. You see, I'm not doing politics this evening. It's so terrible. If I want to do politics, Dr. Two run away. If I want to do politics, Kojo DC will run away. But I'm looking at the interest of Ghana because I am feeling it. My family, my brothers, my sisters, my nephews are calling me. Things are very difficult in Ghana. Very, very difficult. They cannot even afford. And today we are here, and still people from the NPP are still trying to defend this thing, saying that it's all over the world. Yes, there's economic difficulty all over the world, which I'm not going to run away from. But whatever is happening in Ghana is as a result of the inconsistency, it's as a result of, indiscipline from this government. Right. Now, the way forward. What is the way forward? I call for all of us to come on the drawing board. Let's bring all the people on the drawing board, the experts, the economic experts, Sektekpe, Kwesi Botry, they should all come on the board. Let's see how we can salvage and then rescue Mother Ghana. Mother Ghana is deeping. Mother Ghana is retrogressing. And the time has come for us all to stand. Let's put politics aside. Let's come as Ghanaians. Let's help to revive and then save the dollar. Because, Alfred, if you don't take time, by December, the dollar will be 1 to 20. If you don't take care, it will get there. And I don't want it to get there. So I will appeal to all the economic experts in the country, both the NDC, MPP, they should sit on the table. And it's unfortunate that this president is not ready to fire his own cousin. Ken Ofori-Atta has proven several times upon time that he's not on top of the job. He doesn't know what he's doing. But I don't know why this president doesn't see or cannot see or does not know or will not fire him and get something new with new ideas, and let's see what Ghana can become. Okay. Alfred, it's so sad. It's so sad. My heart is beating. I'm crying for my motherland, Ghana, and it's unfortunate. I rest my case.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm trying to make sure we get it under 2 hours because we at 1 hour 54 minutes so far. I want us to get it under 2 hours so we can replay it. If we do so, then it's easier to kind of replay the show. So let me go to Dr. Atu, and then I'll come to you, Lifetime Legacy. Dr. Atu, in some 3 minutes, tell me what you've been hearing. Are people calling you as well? Where is Dr. Maomia? Where is the key he gave to the IGP? I mean, is the IGP still at post? So answer these questions, looking at where we are today with the city.
I mean, the issue now is worse. And it's more so profound just because of the way Baumia made fun of the NDC.
Right.
You know what? If we all know that we have issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that we can have solutions to it.
Right.
But one person stood on platforms and made mockery, had a really like hysteric laughter, made mockery of the entire NDC, saying that the fundamentals were weak.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised we are talking about, by December it's going to be 20.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do we know the rate of increase? It's going to be more than 20.
Right.
It's like almost every day it goes up by $1.
Yeah, but they are getting some $2 billion, and they said they're going to inject in the system, which will kind of slow it down a little bit.
Alfred, I don't believe in anything they say.
Dr. Ado, I'm sorry, Kojo here.
Go ahead.
There was $100 million that came in. It didn't last for a week. So $2 billion will last for how many days?
Yeah, I know.
At least it's more down the rate of increase for a week, right?
Yeah. So and I was surprised you said Kojo DC has always been straightforward. So I'm surprised you have to qualify that. He always has been straightforward. The person who has not been attacking Kojo DC did not attack Kojo DC today. It's because Kojo DC is siding with him, which is really interesting. But I'm telling you, my friend, right now, Ghana, oh man, it's like, you know what? Other countries are suffering. We know all that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is our situation right now. I was watching PBS yesterday about Lebanon. Someone went to the bank with a gun to get money. In the Lebanon, they are only unable to withdraw money from their bank.
Right.
I mean, but you cannot just tell me that, Russian, Ukraine war, COVID. No. That is why we put you in government.
Mm-hmm.
All these shops can absorb them and come up with better ideas.
Mm.
I agree with Kojo. Breaking the 8, that I am a Baumia fan. But right now, I don't feel Baumia even deserve to come and tell us that we should vote for what.
So you go back to Mahama.
See, the difficult thing is the alternative is also an issue. The alternative is an issue. So we are in a dilemma right now. Like
people now prefer do so over what we have now.
I agree with you, and you cannot just tell me,
the alternative is better.
You cannot just say, I did 3 SHS, I did A, B, or C. No, it's of the moment. What is happening right now?
He put his presidency on so many things and didn't fix any.
Yeah, and you think that by now he would fire some people in his government. No, the same train, like the lawyer was saying. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting we are not going to get any different because we have the same team coming up with solutions over and over again. I mean, it's sad. It's sad that our country is going this way, and I'm afraid that in December it may go beyond, God forbid, 20, because the rate of increase is like every day is like $1. It's because of the weekend we have 13 point something. Even on send wave, that's send wave.
Right.
Imagine black market. How much are you going to sell it?
It's 13.4 right now. I just checked. Hopefully, by the time we are done with the show, it might be 13.5.
Yeah. And we are
it's burger season.
Imagine, even in burger season, you transfer the money over there. Things are going up in Ghana too. Monday, the fares will increase.
Right.
So no matter how much money we send, it
doesn't do anything.
So I don't know. We say we cannot talk about religion and stuff like that. I know I'm at the 3 minutes, so I'll give my brother Lifetime.
Some time to Legacy. We at 58, so we have like some less than 2 minutes. So go for me.
Thank you, Alfred.
Yeah.
Dr. Atu, the alternative is not scary. The alternative has not taken us to this level.
Right.
You see, sometimes it is good that you, the neutral people, will call the spade, not a big spoon.
I have.
Yeah, I agree. You have done it to a degree, but I think you could have nailed the nail right on the head. NDC
we were when we took the economy in 2008. The dollar at that time was 1 cedi, 20 pesos. When we were leaving office, it was 4 cedi, 20 pesos.
Right.
$30, 30 cedi increment.
Lifetime, you got like 10 seconds.
What we have now is scary.
Right.
I have forwarded a video onto our platform. You guys should go and watch.
Yeah.
And now in my conclusion remarks, as my old lady said yesterday when we were having a conversation about the dollar thing, and I quote, he said, problem on I said another on I'm not to a yampia. That is what my mom said yesterday.